So this last Saturday, we all got together at the bar, and it was this formative event where Greg and Colin. Greg, of course, we know has no friends as canon on the show, and Colin, we don't know. His life is a mystery.
Yeah, I have friends.
So Greg and Colin got to meet all the people I know and my friends, and by my friends, of course, I mean my girlfriend's friends. And so I have a friend, a longtime friend, who is a computer guy, much like Colin, for those longtime listeners know, is a computer guy. And so I kind of was excited. I was like, I'm going to introduce them because my friend Mike always likes to talk about computer stuff, but nobody cares. And I was like, well, finally he can talk about stuff and somebody will care. Nobody's talking about or give a shit. So I look and both Colin and Mike are sitting there like just tapping away on their phones, like staring down at their phones, doing the social bar scene thing.
He's right.
Tapping away.
That's exactly what happened.
And I look and I go, hey, Mike, this is my friend. You're a computer guy, and this is my friend Colin. He's also a computer guy. And Mike was like, hey, just kept looking down. And I was like, Colin, you're a computer guy. This is my friend Mike. He's a computer guy too. And Colin just goes, hey, like that. And they both kind of keep tapping away, and I felt like a parent like introducing like two kids, for like a play date.
It was parallel play, Brian.
Exactly.
That's what we call it.
And the funniest part was I see Mike just kind of like harumph. He's like, computer guy. And Colin's like, yeah. And then they kind of like slowly kind of like sidestep closer. And I think Mike like opened the door. He's like, well, I guess like, since you're a computer guy, I'm obligated to ask, what do you do? And Colin said something. I didn't know what it meant. It was words.
Yeah, I don't know what it meant, man.
Yeah. So Colin mumbles his job out, and then Mike's like, I do some web development too. Like what language do you, or code or language? I don't know what any of that means.
Stop.
What do you do? And hilariously, I kind of got I was busy doing something for a few minutes. I looked over and it looked like you guys were having a real deep computer guy conversation.
We were having a great time.
I was glad to have two computer guys meet.
Bits and bytes and binary and stuff.
Zeros and ones were flying.
Talking about frameworks. I got a big laugh out of you, Brian, but I don't remember why. I think I was talking about how great some framework was, and then Mike was like, "Oh, is it easy to pick up?" And I'm like, "Well, no."
you're like, I love this particular thing, and he's like, "Oh, cool, we're switching to it. It's easy to pick up." Oh no, no.
Yeah.
This is a great story.
Yeah.
But anyways, that happened at.
Oh, God. I mean, you haven't known Colin as long as I have, so. To you, it's just, funny that he went from, just looking at his phone to, like, having a human conversation. But for me, to see Colin in a bar talking to anyone is...
It was real hard.
Because...
I gotta admit, it was really hard. I'm not good at it.
Because not only...
Oh, he was killing it.
I'm sorry, you're all wonderful people.
Lifelong paralyzed agoraphobe.
It's true.
But, also, he doesn't drink, so he
just like notable teetotalers, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, rest in peace.
Oh, R.I.P. King.
So just to like see Colin talking to humans in public, like people he's never met, with other people he's never met around in the vicinity, and like in a standing position, making eye contact,
desperately trying. Yeah.
And honestly, again, like a parent, I was very proud of you, Colin. I know that being in a bar when you don't drink sucks.
Oh, it's all I've ever known. So
yeah. But Colin, he joined a trivia team. The trivia team won. I must say, quite.
Oh
handily.
yeah, we fucking.
Despite my botched scoring, they still managed to win, like by a large amount.
Colin and I brought our ringer.
Our Rain Man,
and from down the street, and we brought in the Rain Man for. When Brian said bad movie trivia, we were like, oh, I mean, we would probably clean up on this on our own, but we're going to bring Jason and just refuse to let anyone else on our team. So there were more people to beat.
It was
a bloodbath.
It was people got brutalized.
A slaughter?
Like I said, I honestly, because I was a little, I ended up having to do the scoring, and I was like a little drunk doing the scoring, and I figured out that I definitely scored your team wrong and like probably robbed you of like 3 points. Didn't matter. They still won by like 9.
Damn.
So I didn't feel bad about it at all. I was like, whatever. I made it look a little closer. Probably should shave some more points off just for appearance sake. But yeah. By the way, thanks for everybody that came out for the fundraiser. $2,000 raised for immigrant legal defense, which is huge. So thank you, and several people came out and said that they listened to the podcast and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
that was really cool meeting you folks.
Yeah, great to meet you guys.
Oh yeah, and by the way, listeners, also thanks for coming out and voting Ari as our own informal poll of who listens to this podcast in Seattle. It turns out there's not very many of you, about 2,000. But hey, we'll take it. So
2,000. I think 2,000 people in District 2
are dedicated
voted as
Seattle
a troll
listeners.
just on behalf of us.
Yeah.
And that was every vote that poor sad man got.
Well, they basically knew. They knew we were starving for material and that this would help. So they tried. They did their best.
How many people are buried in that cemetery?
Oh my God! Snowball 2! No!
Oh shit! But yeah, as Greg said, I'm a freak who has trouble talking to people, but it was really wonderful meeting new folks and seeing some old friends.
Colin was telling me the other day about at work. Someone found out that like a while ago, like a year ago, that he has a podcast.
Yeah.
And the running joke at work for Colin is just that, holy shit, guys, can you believe Colin has a podcast? We thought he was literally mute. Like, he doesn't speak. How does this man have a podcast? That's the whole joke. They just keep razzing him, like, eternally.
This is why you
apparently,
try to work from home.
apparently the dangers of podcasting,
Bullied.
what you said you got called in or something, or you got called out and had to, like, stand up and give some kind of knowledgeable presentation about Seattle politics.
Well, yeah. So
whoa!
The chief executive officer, who may be listening to this episode, hello if you are. He found out about. He was the most recent one who found out about it, and so he was prepared to.
And so Colin is fired.
Ask me all kinds of questions. We were relitigating the head tax, Amazon head tax, talking about the market and rent control and all that kind of fun stuff. So it was like 40 minutes of sparring.
Wow, I feel like this has been a real like growth week for you, Colin.
Hey, yeah, I'm trying. Desperately trying.
And this is the guy that you refer to as CEO Jerkface, right? Dude, it is my ultimate. So it's my like nightmare that somebody at work would have found out about the podcast, and then I found out the guys in inspection were like playing it on the fucking speakers in inspection. I was like, God damn it! I appreciate the listen, but like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, by the way, problem solved there.
Oh yeah. I mean, do we need to talk about that? I mean, just like to like.
Oh, that I have a lot more free time these days.
Solidarity vibes, like to reach out to Brian.
Yeah,
here,
for
like,
sure.
Yeah, guys, I got laid off on Friday. Please, slip into my DMs. Don't think I should be alone right now. All that stuff. But, yeah.
Brian, as longtime listeners will know, is what that
spam me with pet pics.
That species of Seattle industrial laborer, the aerospace machinist.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's one less today, guys.
There's probably gonna be a lot less in the future, because I don't know if you've been listening to this podcast or just like been outside of your house or on the internet, you know that Boeing planes just keep falling out of the fucking sky.
What's going on with Boeing,
or
guys?
like raining metal.
They're gonna just
rain metal on an island.
They're gonna have to stop
shit,
fucking making them, and so everyone's probably gonna get laid off, and it's gonna be a major hit here. And Brian's just sort of among the first wave.
Well, my shop, I think, got what you'll probably start to see more and more happen, which is that Boeing, of course, will like never pay any consequence, or maybe more accurately, Boeing shareholders will never really pay a consequence for their awful deeds.
Yeah.
But all the like suppliers and stuff will. Like, it'll be passed on. Yeah. The shit will roll downhill.
Yeah. No doubt.
So cool, man. Long story short, a lot more free time. So these podcasts are all going to be 4 hours long now, guys.
Yep. And if you're at a prestigious school somewhere, can you offer Brian a calculus position or perhaps hook him up running a hedge fund?
Yeah, I'm always hanging outside in the hallway, solving math problems that get left up on the board.
He's a self-starter. He knows how to, solve problems.
If it comes with a free house in Miami, hey, all the better. I can keep my mouth shut, guys.
Says the guy with a podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Colin was also...
We have hours proving that to be demonstrably false.
It's obviously untrue. Colin, another big part of his big growth week was standing out in the middle of traffic, ranting and raving about some goddamn thing, and just becoming a Twitter meme. Colin, what's it like to be a hero?
It feels really good. I mean, last week, I think I told everybody about my low when I tried to suicide by Blue Angel. And I mean, for me, it was kind of a falling down moment, but sometimes there's a lot of self-empowerment in that. So
when you just stand out in the bus lane in traffic
and you tell people to get out. Can't you read? It says bus lane.
Yeah. She is maybe not the Michael Douglas we want, but the Michael Douglas we need.
Well, certainly the Michael Douglas we deserve.
Yeah, it's definitely Seattle's version of falling down, and that she's gonna go from place to place and just make people follow the rules. She's gonna go to the grocery store and be like, "Excuse me, sir, that's 16 items. That's 16 items," and wave you away.
Oh man, that is her next stop for sure. No. What it is there's so many layers to this. First of all, yes, it's someone standing up and being confrontational in public, something Seattleites are incapable of do, but wish they to death that they could.
Right.
That's the real dream that everybody sees in her. She's out there making a friend, and they're like, "Oh, damn."
Yeah, no, for real. And the main thing everyone wants to do is tell people to follow the rules, and that's why she's a hero. She's out there keeping people in line. It's like a really lame Save the Cat moment from a 90s anti-hero or something. It's not quite Rorschach, but it's
that was Michael Douglas.
It is that I know, but
Michael
it's
Douglas,
but that's the extreme version, right?
Yeah.
That's closer to the Rorschach version, but it's something lamer. Yeah.
It's Kevin Spacey in American Beauty,
yes.
No, I'm gonna smoke the marijuana in the garage.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That is, yeah.
Fuck. Well, hopefully.
Anyway, in summation, not cool. She's not a hero. It's dumb.
It sucks.
It's
Come on, folks.
Total lack of imagination to be excited by that.
In fact, it's really just sad. Honestly, it's sad.
You know what would make you a hero? Is if never mind, I was supposed to say something awful. We're about to have to call the lawyer. Never mind.
Yeah. We're all thinking it, Brian. All right.
I'll just keep that in the old brain.
All right. Well, before we get too far along, you're listening to Seattle Sucks, a podcast about hating the city that we love. I'm Colin. Greg is here.
What are we 30 minutes in?
Only 20. Greg is here. Brian's here. And we are on the boat. We're making it happen. We're stepping out in traffic, directing traffic.
Yeah, I step out in traffic all the time, and nobody calls me a hero. They just tell me to put my pants back on.
Sometimes I dog paddle out into the middle of the canal and shout at boats to slow the big ones to slow down so they don't rock the marina boats with their wake.
That's very nice of you.
It's the law.
It's the law.
7 knots maximum, no wake.
By the way, making people follow the rules is not cool. That shit sucks.
It does.
That shit really
sucks.
The problem is where does that stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, I heard there's some exciting new innovations in tech, maybe.
Yeah, there are. Well, we, much like our show where we just come out and say Seattle sucks, Geekwire has found somebody who's ready to say, you know what, Seattle, is awesome.
Well, this feels. I've only seen the headline and the picture, but this just feels like some old school Seattle sucks right here. This is like this. I'm already. It's taking me back.
It's pretty good. So the headline is feeling down on Seattle.
Yes.
Brian McGowan wants to fix that as CEO of Greater Seattle Partners.
That's
really got a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wow. What partners in what exactly?
Crime. And so this is part of Working Geek, which is a regular feature on Geekwire that profiles technology and business leaders, offering tips, tricks, and insights into how busy professionals get work done.
Oh,
So
you got my attention.
You might learn something. So as Greg alluded to, there's this picture of Brian McGowan, his dog, and his son riding a ferry. Because they're just Seattleites like us.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Just riding around in a ferry in circles on the sound, just like we all do.
Honestly,
doing donuts.
That's
sound.
If you're a transplant, if you're new here, if you're looking for something to just do relatively cheap,
yeah, it is a great thing to do.
Just
as a
ride the
tourist
ferry back and forth.
Yeah.
Find a nice circuitous route and just do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just fall asleep on there. Nothing bad will happen to you, I'm sure.
Now, you do have to get off every time it stops and get back on, depending on the type of stop. But if it's like a back and forth,
We'll see about that.
but
I heard
okay.
that if you get into the bathroom stall and like put your feet up on the toilet, they won't know you're there.
Brian McGowan would like to remind you why Seattle is awesome. Of course.
I cannot wait.
There's the natural beauty, the jagged Olympic and Cascade Mountains, the shifting blue hues of Puget Sound, the emerald firs and cedars. There are the Northwest's iconic features, including coffee, technology, aerospace, grunge rock bands, and rainy days.
Okay, two of those don't exist anymore. See if you can figure it out.
And there are the signature companies: Microsoft, Amazon,
Hell yeah, list
Just-
them off.
just
List them off.
Nordstrom,
Bullets.
Boeing, Starbucks, and Costco.
This is
among
like
them.
these are just two different Catholic liturgies we're listening to. Like,
Oh wait, this was my favorite quote. There have only been 3 companies in U.S. history that have broken $1 trillion in market value, and 2 of those companies.
I'm so close to coming. Tell me about
Amazon and Microsoft are from this region.
Oh my
McGowan
God!
said.
I feel so lucky to be in their presence.
Know, aren't we? We're so privileged.
Oh my God! Did you know that?
I didn't.
Did you know about the firs and the mountains, Colin?
I'd heard about those.
What I'm hearing is there's a lot of people here could probably pay a little more taxes.
Yeah, no shit.
Okay, now that you're past the part that was literally cut and pasted from their vault, like their pre-written articles.
Or Wikipedia. Seattle's main exports are.
Yeah.
Well, so McGowan continues his quote. He says, "Not Chicago, not New York, not Los Angeles. They're from here." But what really...
Those are other city? Oh, I see what he's saying. Shut the fuck up.
Right, exactly. But what... And I'm sure, actually, all those companies have offices in every one of those cities. So, I mean, where you're headquartered doesn't really mean much.
Well,
in
it
the 21st
certainly
century.
doesn't if that locality doesn't tax you.
Right.
Well,
That would be... I guess it matters in as much as Washington State and Seattle are tax havens.
Right. Galt's Gulch.
That this is essentially, Galt's... Galt's Isthmus.
Yeah.
well, and certainly, like, with tech companies, it's all very easy to do. But, I mean, you can't forget that, like, even Boeing, who, like, the majority of Boeing's production work is in the Puget Sound region, is headquartered in Chicago specifically because they didn't want to be around their production workers. So, yeah, I mean, like, some of this shit doesn't mean anything because, like, these companies have all gotten so big. They're, like, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not paying taxes anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Another T-shirt idea along go Gult's Isthmus. It's like, one of those Seattle map
shirts,
but it says Gult's Isthmus, and Seattle sucks at the bottom or something.
I like it.
don't know.
But what really makes the Puget Sound area a standout is a little more je ne sais quoi.
Oh my God! Get to what the fuck what is this about? I've read this article 750 times, and it was fucking pablum the first time.
I'm actually impressed by his multilingual abilities.
Well, I think this was
so what
Lisa
you're saying
Stifler,
is what's good about Seattle is all these companies are headquartered here, so their coat of arms are up on
we can take credit
on the castle.
There are lords.
That's it. And what explains that is utterly mystified and immaterial.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not worth looking into. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just some
something
vibe we give off.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something in the water, you could test for it, Colin.
It's all the cryptids. Amazon and Microsoft have Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And that's the key to their success.
Yeah, they've been throwing us off with the blood of tweens. Conspiracy.
Really.
It's really blood of Sasquatch.
And making Nessie fin soup and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Well, then it's like being in this is gonna be awful. I'm sorry.
Dude, go for it.
I don't mean to go on a rant. This is my Dennis Miller fucking joke, apparently. But it's like being in 9th century Byzantium and being like, all these crusaders are at our gates because we have such a dynamic city. It's like such a stupid thing to brag about. Like, we're all gonna die, dude.
Oh, fuck.
I immediately apologize.
No, dude. Sorry. What I love most about this region and the culture of this region is it's a place that likes to cut its own path. So we're continuing to say nothing. It's not trying to be like other places. Really, it's not. We haven't been trying to shove our nose
world-class city
up New York City's ass for the last decade.
We're not. We've been trying to mold ourselves into a neoliberal city
also to just desperately be like
Vancouver or San Francisco.
Hey, we're San Francisco guys, I promise. I promise. Like Seattle, the one thing about Seattle is that it's always trying to be some other city.
And I feel
its inferiority complex is palpable.
Especially with a mayor like Jenny Durkin, who she just can't help but give that away.
Oh yeah.
It is itself, he said. It's a place that changes the way that people live.
Oh, it's a place. He's just actually said a real fact. It's a place, guys.
It's a good thing that McGowan can find so much to love about the area. Last year, he took the role of president and CEO. Hey, Brian, why don't you just take the role and CEO somewhere?
Yeah.
I know.
Let's all take the role.
Shit, we've been doing this wrong.
Do you think the fact that he doesn't pay any taxes might have something to do with his love of the city, maybe more than some of those other things?
It's like, fuck, I'm living like a king here.
Yeah.
He was elected on his merits by his syndicate.
The newly launched nonprofit's purpose is to market the region, including Seattle's King County and Snohomish and Pierce counties to the north and south, to the outside world.
Let me see if I can get the geography right here. You're saying we're in King County. Shut the fuck up! What is this about? How many pages have you read describing the city we all fucking live in?
Greg's neighbors calling the police. Colin's being abused.
Let's just say Geekwire most likely has a very hard word count requirement.
Because the whole thing, the content's going to be one quote from this asshole.
We're going to get into the interview where he says, or I already told you, he talks about the software that he likes to
Dude, I just don't spoil it.
Do you ever think sometimes, I could be a journalist?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Guys.
Every day.
I mean, there's more content in 5 minutes of this podcast than in this entire article.
Well, and our Tom and Dom script is really coming together.
Yeah,
so.
Wait till you hear that, folks. So where did I leave off? Oh, right, the geography. The goal, get this, Greg, is to attract jobs. Companies, workers, and investments. while
What?
also helping sell the products being made here.
Not me. I'm like the bus lady. I'm out there. I'm shooing the jobs away to a different lane.
So, if what I understand is, the vibe I'm getting here is true, his goal is that of every Democratic politician since 1975, since like Boeing shut down the first time, and all across the country, to somehow, in a globally connected economy, to somehow attract jobs and innovation and investment to your spot instead of another for all these reasons, like there's mountains and there's furs and there's tax breaks.
It's called alchemy, Greg.
Exactly. Well, I think
I
think he's just a headhunter for corporations, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he's just
more or
bringing them
less.
in and getting money from some sort of developer.
He's marketing.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, so is this
It's like,
a
the
contract
goal is
with
to
the
bring
city?
in some people with money, so they'll give it to me.
Well, who's he marketing for? Is this guy get paid from the city? Does Seattle Partners have a contract for marketing to corporations from the city?
I don't believe
it's just a grift.
I don't believe it says, but that's what it sounds like.
It's marketing,
yeah.
Greg. It's a grift.
Well, it's not. Well, if you're actually trying to attract companies, then it must be with the state or the city.
Right. Yeah.
So this is just a marketing grift where this guy is getting charged a massive consultant fee to put little PowerPoint presentations together, to do up websites and little flyers, and to make calls to people and describe to them the tax breaks that are the actual reason that a company would move.
Yep.
Yeah, like
here.
literally, you don't have to show them any pictures. All you'd have to do is just show them the tax rate.
Yeah, but this is
the size of your house.
middleman.
Yeah,
this is a classic like middleman marketing grift.
Yes.
Fuck this asshole.
Well, the good news is it's an organization, he said, that already exists in most other cities. So that rules.
Cool.
Our purpose is to make sure
Thought we weren't trying to be anybody else.
that
Well,
Brian.
he's basically the guy that was like spearheading all those, like, when Amazon was like hunting for those other cities and making who would debase themselves the most.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was like in the council's ears, basically being like, "Oh, show Amazon your belly.
Yeah.
Show it. Like, give them everything."
He probably
he was the guy whispering to Jeff, going, "Don't worry, they'll roll over." 'Cause that seems to be what he's saying his job is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, he's about to tell us. Our purpose is to make sure that our regional economy is globally competitive and growing in a sustainable and inclusive way.
A
He means
small
lower wages.
marketing startup
Who represents
is
3 counties
responsible
in your state.
for our regional economy
Yeah,
on the global market.
that's exactly right.
I'm not sure what is more disgusting, the insane hubris of that statement or the fact that it might be true.
Well, the thing is, if Jeff's about to do something that might hurt our standing on the international scale, this guy, Brian's got Jeff on the phone. And he's like, "Look, Jeff, I'll feed you another iguana if you don't do this."
Dude,
fuck.
this guy's an iguana waiter. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's a new
A new job.
category of character on this podcast.
21st century.
Iguana server.
Yeah. GSB has a board comprised of private and public sector leaders. The organization differs from the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, which is more concerned with public policy than with promoting the region. McGowan came to the job from Atlanta.
But telling that, it's basically saying, if you're thinking it's like the Chamber of Commerce, yeah, pretty much, just with a slightly different focus.
Exactly right.
It's like the Chamber of Commerce, but they already have their own dumb shit marketing firm, so I had to get money from someone else.
In all other ways, in that we are a group of rich people and business leaders pushing an agenda that is probably very similar to the Chamber. We're the same. We just take a little different focus in the venues we push that agenda in.
Well, and if you've ever been around like marketing people, it is like a beautiful, like holding cell for like the terminally stupid. Like, you're like, are you like just dumb as a rock, but have giant like visions of your role in the world, like
Guys,
your place in it?
What do you think I do all day?
Oh, Yes, I meant been around other marketing people, not Greg.
Well, hey, I am a skilled craftsperson, I'll have you know, who has to work with marketing people all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny, if we could just do a quick Texas Sucks diversion.
Oh, yeah. Yes, please.
At my high school, somebody in the high school had, their parents were part of this marketing, or like partners or something, this marketing firm in San Antonio that was some big deal. And the reason they were big deal is because they had landed the big San Antonio Spurs account.
Yeehaw.
Hell yeah. And apparently, so the school did a little field trip out to tell them how marketing worked. And they basically, in very hushed tones, were basically like, oh, guys, I knew we had it. We came up with Go Spurs Go.
Oh, my God.
That's their campaign.
Oh,
they were so proud of it, and they built an empire on it.
It's a story as old as time. I mean, that they've been doing, marketing firms have been doing that for $1 million at a time for the easiest people to sell on this shit. Like, you actually have to come up with something when you're selling a corporation that sells a product. When you're talking to any kind of municipality or anything publicly run by, like, just talking to a bunch of, like, drooling middle-aged lanyards, like, they'll just eat up something like Go Spurs Go. Like, that's the easiest grift in America.
Fuck, we should get into marketing. All right.
Well, again,
our brains are soft enough for it. We should do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's continue. Let's hear
All
what
right.
this
Well,
marketing
McGowan
genius
came
has
to
got.
the job from Atlanta, where his resume includes a stint as CEO of Invest Atlanta, the economic development authority for the city. He was also in
He
leadership
abandoned Atlanta, though. That doesn't sound good.
at the Metro Atlanta Chamber.
Job done.
Oh, yeah,
Job's
it's already
done.
good. But now he's going to undermine it by coming to Seattle, and he's going to steal the business they did in Atlanta. It just seems insincere.
This welcome to globalization, Brian.
He's going to leave.
We're all independent agents.
That's right.
Flowing through the
Yeah.
market stream.
Mm-hmm. We have the power if we're good enough.
Go Seattle, go.
For those point. What the fuck? Okay, sorry, typo. For those who point to Seattle's high housing prices and homelessness crisis and ask if we really need more growth, McGowan explains that outside of the city, say in Everett and Tacoma, the economy isn't as booming.
People can still afford to live there, guys. We got to do something about
That's fucked up.
that. Shit's fucked, bro.
Just like the idea that he thinks you can just sum up and dismiss our housing and homelessness crisis with that fucking nonsense is telling.
Yeah. It's like we got to expand the crisis, guys.
GSP is looking for more equitable growth. He also argues that if an area isn't growing...
care to expand on that at all, asshole?
That is literally the last sentence in the previous paragraph.
No, don't worry. We're looking for more equitable growth.
Which means
we've
we
identified and are
most of-
keeping secret
Yeah.
the formula for that.
Well, he means that he wants a larger share of the finder's fee, basically.
Because he did
yeah,
most of the work.
Yeah.
So he
We've
should
found
get-
the code to inject equitableness into the DNA of market capitalism or some bullshit.
Well, let's sit back and see how it works.
We're going to make our growth more equitable by enticing investment in the market. Now, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
He also argues that if an area isn't growing, it's shrinking.
Holy shit.
Guys, I want you to remember what I mentioned about the marketing guy
You
who
fucking-
said "Go Spurs, go." All right, this is what we're dealing with. This is the level.
Oh my god. Was he like stroking his beard when he said that?
He
Was
might have been.
Was he pouring the intervierwer tea?
When you're
like when he
Yeah,
said
he's
that?
like Jared Leto in Blade Runner.
Yeah, no, that's he's trying to say. If a region isn't growing, it's shrinking.
if you're getting older, you're not getting any younger.
And that pares away the resources available to solve societal and other challenges. So
That was just gobbledygook.
So his premise is that without growth, we can't solve societal and other challenges?
That's just basic market ideology.
Yeah, right.
This is basic. That is basic economics. That is the ideology of economists. That growth is the absolute essential. That the entire system should, and can only run on growth. And growth is.
It's good, especially when we're living in the wasteland.
It's almost like the economy is a Ponzi scheme.
And I don't think it's as you can't dismiss it as simply as saying that we need less growth or we need to shrink our economy for some, but I think we can dismiss the sort of market orthodox ideology of economics.
Well, I think that it's a orthodoxy because capitalism requires growth. Like
capitalism requires growth.
Yeah, you literally cannot shrink or degrowth a capitalist economy without it completely collapsing. So we've just accepted, because we accept all the tenets of capitalism as as natural as the air we breathe or whatever, is that growth, you gotta have it. And it's like, really? We're killing ourselves, man. We're fucking dying.
That's pretty good, Brian. I think we should run that by growth. You gotta have it. Well, we should run that by GSP.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to see what celebrity has pitch it.
But, another big part of, now, for his one sentence throwaway about equitable growth, there is also in economics and in our sort of bizarre market orthodoxy, this idea that all growth, is inevitably positive, is in some way necessary to anything positive, and is therefore itself positive. Rising tide lift all boats, etc. I think that's obviously bullshit. We know, but what on the other hand, if we were to transition to some other economic system, we probably would, inherently need growth because that's implied by everyone actually having a dignified human life on this planet or even in this country. Well, that actually implies growth.
That's true. Yeah.
Giving a bunch of rich people a haircut, you're still going to need economic growth to feed, clothe, house, and take care of an entire population that doesn't have that now. But you're talking about growth that in this way that is only the same as what economics means by growth and what capitalism means by growth in the very basic, most abstract way.
Well, when capitalists talk about growth, what they're doing is capitalism needs growth because of its sort of inner contradictions, but they're talking about as the propaganda value of growth.
Yeah.
Which is you can avoid equitable redistribution, equitable distribution of resources through growth, right? And I think if you had a different economy, you might want to continue to have growth or whatever
on the most basic level. Yeah,
but you would recognize too that enormous strides can be made for most people in the world if we just distributed resources equally. If Jeff Bezos wasn't sucking up such an enormous portion of the world's resources, most people could be doing it. It's the joke that always gets said that Jeff Bezos could give everybody in Amazon a dignified wage in life and still be very, very rich. Yeah. He is sucking up just an enormous unfathomable portion of the world's resources.
Well, that's that Twitter account that's popped up recently that's has Jeff Bezos decided to end world hunger today?
Hold on, shit, dude, I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Wait. Has he? Should we check it?
I'm afraid he hasn't yet.
Oh, damn.
But he might.
That's the right question to ask.
It is. Yeah.
I mean that's the thing with the Gates Foundation, right? Is that no, you actually could do a lot by just not having that money. That would be an enormous step forward for most people.
Well, they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
McGowan said that other regions this size have seen tremendous short-term growth, and then the bottom fell out. I'm talking about Detroit.
So, by the way, Detroit didn't have short-term growth.
Detroit was years of
the
growth,
boom in Detroit was far longer than Seattle's. What the fuck is he talking about? Detroit was the richest city in America for decades.
You must be confused. I don't know.
And compared to a lot of the world and to certainly Detroit, reasonably certainly more equitable growth than really we're talking about having in this city.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they built out public infrastructure, and Black Americans had union jobs and even electoral power.
Well, the power of like radical unions in Detroit is what actually helped. I mean, ironically, is what helped build the growth of the growth that Detroit was able to have and things like that. None of that exists in Seattle, almost making you wonder if it's just a bubble, maybe a flash in a pan. I don't know.
And it's probably worth noting that what happened to Detroit was the other places attracted business with their innovations and incentives and took it away from Detroit. So other countries and other parts of this country were able to entice the American car companies, to bring in their business there.
Are you talking about free trade?
Well, Detroit is like an interesting story in that same sense too, in that like the initial move in Detroit was, the political power of the unions was too strong in the city itself, and the city controlled the political sort of destiny of the state. So what the companies did is they slowly started to push all that production out to the suburbs, and they shifted the political power of Michigan out into these all-white suburbs that, of course, like wouldn't allow black people to move in and things like that, which the auto industry had probably correctly identified blacks as like the most radical element within the union. And then they pushed for things like lowering taxes on corporations, defunding cities, defunding schools, and giving that money to GM and Ford and things like that. And I mean, weird if this sounds familiar to what Seattle has actually done, which is basically create these zero tax havens that actually hollowed out Detroit. So when you talk about Detroit, the cautionary tale, the actual cautionary tale is allowing corporations to do whatever the fuck they want and run your political process, and like the downside of these right-wing politics, because like a vampire, once they suck the area dry, they leave.
It's very parasitic.
Because it's destroyed.
I mean, the water's
we
poisoned.
keep not collecting fucking taxes from corporations. There's not going to be a fucking functioning city here,
which is what we're seeing. I mean, when we talked about the transit thing and everybody going insane, I mean, that is the problem, right? Is that we can't collect money from any of these fucking billionaires or these businesses.
Listen, all this anxiety,
so we are in this transit fucking nightmare.
All this anxiety that people have about Seattle dying, it's because they're looking around and they're seeing all this trash on the streets and they're seeing society collapse. That's what we're talking about here. This is what's happening. We are on this track toward like Detroit because exactly this. We are failing to hold our small society together. It is coming apart at various seams. The big seam that's ripping open now and over the last 10 years is homelessness. But like that's just where we've been able to direct. We're really good in this state at directing all the like austerity punishment at the people who are already at the bottom. So that's kicked a bunch of people out of their homes, basically. Before like transit starts crumbling, but that's coming down the road in 20 years.
Oh sure, we've already had like a famous bridge collapse in the last 10 years and things like that. So I mean, it looks more like Michigan than I think these people would want to say. And I mean, what's the end result of Michigan is the water in Flint is poisoned because GM poisoned it, but they also completely destroyed the political structures that could do anything about it. So I guess everybody just gets to get fucking lead poisoning in Flint, right? And that is a story of tax evasion. That's a story of corporate power run amok. That's a story of not giving a fuck about the people who live here, which is what's happening to the homeless here, because nobody gives a fuck about them. So. No. Anyways, let's hear more what he's got to say. I'm sure it's positive.
He continues his litany to say St. Louis and Cleveland, he said. Those places were Seattle once. So
just everything we said about Detroit for those cities as well.
So that sets us up nicely to get into this interview. We caught up with McGowan for this Working Geek, a regular Geekwire feature. Continue reading
about working people
for his answers to our questionnaire.
About people who go to work for a living, who pick up that lunch pail and get on the bus and go to work. Like this marketing CEO with a grift at the city.
I just like the him at work is just riding around in circles on the ferry, like in the Sound.
That's his. That's
him and his
new,
dog
like,
are just like
office,
writing
right?
notes in his journal.
That's like a perfect parody of like a Seattle like new hip. We're gonna do things different.
Yeah.
Start up. Their office is just the ferry, the Bainbridge ferry going back and forth. You know,
it's cheaper than office rent, man. You just pay to get everybody on the ferry, and
every
right, guys.
35 minutes, everyone's got to pick up their laptop, get off, and back on.
Hey guys,
again,
we're at the stop. That means you got to get in those stalls, get your feet up on those toilets. I am paying for more tickets.
All right, so here are those questions. Current location, downtown Seattle.
Good question.
Computer types, Microsoft Surface.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't worry, they get more substantial. These are just funny to get out of the way. Mobile devices, iPhone X.
Oh, so you're literally asking him questions to which there are two possible answers.
Yes.
You could have a Linux system. Ha.
Yeah, he was cool. Favorite apps, cloud services, and software tools.
Oh my
Because
God.
we all
What
have
is happening?
answers to that question.
Shut the fuck up. Favorite apps?
My favorite app is TikTok. I'm just going to say that right now.
We know
Well,
that to
TikTok and
actually be
Twitter.
true.
It's fucking not Tumblr anymore, clearly. Back to Twitter.
So he says, I like to bike. Oh, that's weird. So I use Strava a lot, and my family and I are house hunting, so I've been regularly using Zillow and Redfin. Other than that, I frequently use Waze, as I'm learning my way around this region.
I think Waze exists anymore. I think it's just fucking the Google Maps now that all got folded in.
I think they work independently, but most of it did get folded in. That's
One cool thing about Waze, you used to be able to report speed traps on it.
That's
and
true.
I am sad that you can't do that. On
Oh, you
Maps.
can't do it?
Not Maps. No, because Waze stopped working for a while,
Oh,
so I got
really?
off it and back on the Maps.
He's this is a great story, guys.
Thanks.
You took the fucking bait, by the way.
I know.
You started talking about apps. You sunk to this dickhead's level and this idiot publication. God
Look,
damn
man,
it.
this is
Fucking morons.
this is
You
a
fell right into the trap.
This is a trained journalist asking searing, insightful questions.
Yeah, and you got
And me and
led
Colin
right
are
down that
suckered
path.
right into it.
You're just like, yeah, well, I prefer again questions with two possible
Hey,
fucking
I never
answers.
said
God,
I
you
was
guys are
smart.
stupid.
A map and compass is a third answer.
Okay,
The stars.
Google Maps or Waze. Okay, shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
He also uses Apple Music, Greg.
How does he
there's a compatibility
feel
problem
about
with
the
his phone.
iTunes
Yeah,
switch up?
I don't know. He does.
How does he feel about U2 getting dropped into his iTunes folder?
He doesn't say.
I feel like there's a compatibility issue between his phone and computer. You should look into that.
There might be. I don't know. Describe your workplace. Why does it work? Why does it work for you? Nothing fancy. A desk and a conference table. I hold a lot of small meetings in my office, so the conference
dork,
table
the
gets
worst.
plenty of use.
Fucking worse.
We are a startup.
Yeah, we're out there meeting every day,
Just starting up all the time.
pounding that table.
Bosses who call meetings all the time because they're bored fucking are the worst.
He has a lot of small meetings. He's like, okay, guys, these two employees are done talking to me. Who's up next? Who can I corner in the room?
So we're currently
Because he
renting
goes to work. Because this is about work.
yes.
This vertical.
work to create more work. Within the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce offices in Rainier Tower. It's working right now because the chamber they're literally
This is literally just a division of the chamber.
yeah.
Okay. So, fuck off.
Is such a big supporter of what GSP is doing, and they have been very flexible. Weird.
Oh, well,
that is really odd.
great. So, no context from this article here, but this is how you know they're patently evil.
I completely agree.
I mean, they're giving it away in the actual interview, but, like, just absolutely evil to the core. Literally, like, sacrificing to demons on that floor.
We
of
go
the
up to the
building.
Dark Tower, known as the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, they're growing fast, so they're looking for new office space soon. Your best advice for
He needs more
managing
people to meet with.
Guys, the
Gets lonely.
ferries are getting bigger all the time.
for managing everyday work and life. Focusing on your health, both physical and mental, is critical to long-term success.
Oh, it's
Hashtag self-care.
hang on.
Hashtag self-care. Hashtag Soylent.
Health is important for living. Pours the tea.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
No,
What is this article?
It's nothing. I mean, it's
This
just
is
PR
the worst
garbage.
bunch of pablum I've ever heard. But like, just this journalist supposedly is just it's just lapping it up and playing it into like you two and your maps nonsense.
If you noticed, the journalist says, "Here's his answer to our question,"
Yeah.
which means the journalist's like, "I don't want to talk to this guy." He literally just mailed him a bunch of questions, like, "Send it back."
They checked
if you get
out.
some time.
Yeah,
and the rest, he was right. So the whole top of the article, I'm sure, was the quotes were pulled from like their materials,
Right.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
And
It's like
this
10
is
minutes on his
here.
homepage.
Yeah. So this is the laziest thing.
Again, I think that we could be journalists, guys. We should maybe think about a career change.
No,
it seems
guys,
very
we
easy.
can't
We
be
already
because there's
run-
no such thing.
The Seattle Sucks Picayune. What are you?
There is
you two
there are no
forget?
jobs. In
I
journalism.
actually do think that now's the time to change it to Mechanical Freak.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna. Yeah, I think this was a good starting point, but I think we need to relaunch with a whole new brand.
Okay.
How else are the international corporations going to know that we're open for business? And
Go
that Seattle's
Freaks
a place
Go?
to go.
Is that
Go
the,
Freaks Go.
We all get so busy, and unfortunately, we often forget to take care of ourselves. Nothing like foundational that might be wrong about society that causes that. We eat the wrong foods, don't get enough sleep, and don't take time to rejuvenate.
The food that is given to us by our society is poisoning us.
The sleep that
But
we're
it's
not
really
allowed to
just
have.
that we're not taking the time.
Yeah.
Well, not only that,
I wonder if there's something else that's filling that time. Who knows?
but fortunately,
I don't know. Maybe we should read a column about work and find out.
we live in a place where there are a multitude of opportunities to get outside and do fun, healthy activities.
Yep.
There is not.
Think of all that supply in this market.
The use of opportunity here. Possibility might be a better word. Opportunity implies ability to make that happen.
Right.
I think we live literally next to an active volcano that's going to kill us all one day, and it took me 8 years of living here to go see it. Like, it's very close, guys.
It is very
There's
close.
no
you
opportunity.
Can see
you can't
it
do
from
anything.
here.
Yeah, you don't have to go that far. Fuck, man, come up to Magnolia. I'll show you the mountain anytime
That's
you want.
right. The thing about going to Rainier is like you're just getting closer to a thing you can already see from 100 miles away.
What you don't understand, Greg, is it gets bigger when you get closer.
Right. So you look over the city and you look and you see like, holy shit, that mountain looks fucking huge. It's taking up the whole sky. And then you're like, I want it to be fucking bigger in my vision. I need it to fill up all my peripheral vision. It's not big enough. Like, just calm the fuck down. It's fucking huge.
Greg
Don't worry about it.
and Colin are naysayers, but I'm a strong Rainier endorser, so go see Mount
Hey,
Rainier.
I haven't been there. I went there as a kid. To Paradise. Yeah.
I haven't been there since I was a kid too, but you've inspired me, Brian. I'm gonna go up to Ursula Judkins Park. I'm gonna set up some ropes, and you can pay me a nickel to come look at the mountain.
I'm gonna be shooting all day tomorrow at Cary Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another good spot for looking at that.
See the mountain over
Hey,
the
motherfucker,
stadiums,
no free
if I'm not
looks.
mistaken.
you avert your eyes.
You look at the ground.
Hey man, the mountain is the ground.
Ah, damn.
That's what's
That
cool
is
about
deep.
it.
This is deep. Pour more tea, Greg. Pour more tea.
Listen, guys. You're looking at the sky, but you're seeing the ground. That's called a mountain.
Shit. Damn. Thank
All
you,
right.
Don.
Pours the tea.
Your preferred social network. How do you use it for business/work? Probably Twitter, although I use LinkedIn and Facebook quite a bit too.
Fucking dork.
Everyone needs an answer to this question, obviously. It's really important to hear what he has to say.
Well, you have to be clued into the new direction. Like, if he didn't say Facebook, then that's time or LinkedIn.
move
That
on.
means it's like it's
Yeah.
not happening anymore. So we're keyed in, you know.
Well, here he's going to tell us how he uses each one.
Oh,
I
God.
mostly use
No,
Facebook
Stop
for
talking,
fun
please. No,
things.
stop.
boring pictures of my kids, dog,
who I hate.
Don't include my children.
Who I'm embarrassed about being interested in.
dog, and things I think look cool or interesting.
He literally just has videos of like a bag in the air. He is the American Beauty kid. Yeah.
No, he's probably
It's
like
Patrick Bateman.
posting like the Blue Angels and tugboats. He's probably a tugboat guy. That's the local variety of train guy.
Oh,
He's tugboat guy.
there was this like steam tugboat one time when I was over the locks, and it was badass. It was like like that, you know, like it was pretty sweet. I was like, dude, if I get a boat, I gotta get a steamboat.
Cool.
Steamboat Brian.
Steamboat Brian.
Hey,
Oh, boy.
throw that in to the ring there for Brian's
There you
name. LinkedIn and Twitter are more business and politics for me. I'm trying to get my Instagram game started. The Seattle region is pretty incredible.
Wow. So relatable.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I like bragging about it. And yes, I know.
Wait, what's he brag about?
Bragging
Seattle
is
region.
not cool in the Pacific Northwest, but someone's got to do it. He's just saying, I live in Seattle now.
First of all,
There is nature here that
what
I had
is
nothing
it with
to do
people
with.
in this fucking town with attaching stereotypes to it that don't fucking exist? Bragging is not cool. Bragging about the region isn't cool here. What the fuck?
He's
does
clearly
anybody
never
talk about besides how great
It's
this
just-
fucking
Dude,
region
everything
is?
is just signifiers
He's
now.
clearly never heard a Macklemore album. That's the real
Oh my
thing.
god, yeah, and then he's gonna tell us thrift stores are bullshit next too.
I hope he doesn't. I love sharing interesting facts, figures, pictures, and graphs about our economy.
This is a
Here's an
robot
interesting
trying
fact.
to pretend to be human.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's not a real
Guys,
person.
bragging's not cool. Interesting fact: I've met Macklemore. Move on.
Damn.
I'm sorry
That's for
to
off
hear
air.
that.
That's for
Yeah.
off air.
Our businesses and our incredible quality of life. You got to stunt on those hoes
whoa,
with
whoa.
your quality of life.
Just
Hey, dude, my car's broken down on Capitol Hill right now. That's my quality of life
Okay.
at the moment.
how our quality of life. Just think about that fucking statement. Here in this region, the one you all know and love, our quality of life. The hour there is doing a lot of fucking work
Yeah, it is.
because it's excluding a solid half of the population.
Yeah.
Or he's talking when he says quality of life, he's already moved on to the new paradigm, and what he means by our quality of life is so good here is he means
The class of person that I am.
no, he means, well, that's the hour.
Yeah.
But when he says our quality of life is so good here, he means that as some new dystopic concept of like that signifies that we hustle along homeless people and like, you know, basically broken windows policing. He's
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
we're on top of that quality of life issues is what he means.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, fucking rules. When
Also not true.
And I love this too, that because it seems to come up a lot on this show of the like, oh, quality of life's great. It's like, well, yeah, if you're a fucking millionaire,
Right.
the quality of your life's gonna be good no matter where you go. It's almost like you can exchange that money for goods and services. Like, what are you talking
Right.
about?
If you're a fucking millionaire
Yeah.
marketing grifter, you can choose to live here
Yeah.
and have a nice life.
Like, I'm willing to bet his quality of life in Atlanta was also very good. Like,
Oh, yeah. Extremely. Extremely good.
but he got to choose. He went like,
Yeah.
huh, I'll choose to do this instead because I might be able to maximize my dollar quality of life wise.
Well, he was like, oh, my quality of life here is great, but I want to go over here to this other place where it'll also be great. Oh, I moved here and it was great. It proves that taking risks works.
Dude, fuck this guy. Fuck this chamber ass
Hold on.
grifter piece of shit.
I do want to know what his favorite piece of software is.
Well, he never really answered. We just know he likes Strava and Waze.
Oh, is that where we're at on that? Oh, sorry, my bad.
Current number of unanswered emails in your inbox. This is what YouTube
First
really
off, why
wanted
would
to
you
know.
How would you know?
I'm guessing he had to look. Well, so this got redacted. That is top secret. Only my wife knows the answer.
Oh, that's
Why aren't you guys
again, so
laughing or
charming and
like,
relatable. Ha, ha,
yeah,
ha, ha.
saying, "Oh,
What a
awful.
human thing to say, ha 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 ha. Why he has a wife.
Here we go.
Do we know what happened? Was it Amazon that created the AI that got racist on Twitter?
It was Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft.
It was Taylor. I think they named the AI Taylor.
Do we know
right?
what happened to Taylor? Did he open a PR firm? Are we seeing Taylor
They took
right now?
Taylor out back and they shot Taylor, man.
Yeah, I think they shot the people who let Taylor make itself too. Yeah, they're like, don't ever come back to Redmond. I don't know. Actually, that's probably not true. They probably got promoted.
No.
Number of appointments / meetings on your calendar this week.
This is like a flex.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
this is big time flex.
Oh man.
27, which is a little slow thanks to summer.
Fucking dork.
Oh,
fuck that dork.
Off. No, that is some PMC
Oh yeah.
dick measuring shit right there.
It'd be fucking funny though if he was honest. He's just go once. Kind of like a lunch thing. We're gonna talk fantasy football, make it the league set up.
Or to be honest, he said, "Well, as a grifter, I have to maintain the grift at all times. I have to continually make it appear to all of the people I'm involved with that I do
that a real
things.
thing is happening."
Did you ever see that movie, The Prestige?
That I didn't.
Kind of like Christian Bale.
I have to pretend that I didn't come up with 100% of my contracted deliverables in the first 15 minutes of the contract. That the project wasn't done immediately, and that I'm just vamping for time now.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
Well, let's learn how he runs meetings.
Oh,
I'd
fuck,
rather not.
This is the worst.
Yeah.
This is so, Colin, this is so much worse than I even...
It is. I told you it was really bad.
How many more questions have we got in this questionnaire?
Only like
Let's do the
8
hits.
or 9.
Let's do the hits.
God.
Let's do the hits.
I don't know what the hits are.
Not how he runs
What do we have
meetings.
time-wise here?
That's the problem. Oh fuck, man, an hour and a half.
All right.
Oh my god, finish this shit up.
Okay, let's. I mean, it just sucks. It sucks a lot. Go check it out. I'm guessing you could. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, I gotta do this one. I gotta do these two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So give us the hits.
What are you listening to?
Oh,
hold on. Let's take guesses. What do you think he's listening to?
Anything I say would just embarrass me.
I feel like the reality is that Norah Jones CD they sell at Starbucks, but his answer is going to be Macklemore. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Wait, no. I'm going to say K-pop because I know there's this new K-pop documentary in theaters right now.
This is violence.
Someone I
Greg's
met
doing
in,
violence to
someone
me.
I met in also because Brian and Bryn love K-pop. So no, someone I met in a lift and sold a stick or two from the event.
Oh, hell yeah.
Had just come out of some K-pop movie.
Oh,
So
cool.
I think it's on the air. It's the vibes are going out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid to tell you that Brian is old school. He listens to Metallica, Alice in Chains, Bob Marley, Social Distortion, Johnny Cash, Stone Temple Pilots, A Tribe Called Quest.
He literally
and
is
Jurassic
listing
5.
all this?
I
guy-
also listen to
What?
Anderson .Paak, Greta Van Fleet, and Childish Gambino.
And I
This
need you to
guy
know.
is not a real person. This
Dude,
is
he is an
made
algorithm.
up.
No, he's
Yeah,
a
this-
desperate nerd.
Yeah.
Just a desperate fucking
He just
loser.
had Spotify open and was like, "Oh, what's trending?"
No, he's like
Except Metallica would never be
no, it's not
trending.
even about being trendy. That's not what that was about. That was like, look, I promise you, I really have a personality.
I am a person.
I am a real
Yeah.
person with an inner life.
Well, yeah,
This is how complicated
fucking
it is. It can be
Patrick
related
Bateman
in a list of bands.
talking about Huey Lewis
That is
in the news.
That is some
That is
serious
what this
Bateman
is.
shit. Yeah. No one. That is not what that interview question was asking.
No.
It was not. What are all the bands you want me to know that you like? It was literally, what were you listening to today?
Yeah, right. Right. Well, what do you think his daily reads and favorite sites and newsletters might be?
Oh God, Hank. Ooh, this is
and
interesting.
I feel like he's one of those dorks that's gonna say Geekwire because he's getting interviewed by Geekwire.
Okay. Ooh.
Ooh, here's the question: do you think he says The Stranger since he wants to be cool in Seattle?
He probably name drops like the Seattle Times as well, because it's,
That's a bingo.
but then what else does he say? What kind of asshole is he? does he say
Think
like
of a body of water.
Puget Sound Business Journal? Shut the fuck up! No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He actually names drop Puget Sound Business Journal.
Do we know that the Puget Sound Business Journal is a real thing or not?
It's a thing that is printed for members of the Chamber of Commerce to read.
Seems
That's
to keep
what it's
coming
for.
up, but I'm not sure
We
that it's
have
real.
to get access to the Puget Sound
Guys,
Business
we do.
Journal.
We need you to
really
kick it
do.
up on Patreon so we can get this subscription.
So he also Politico was number 1. Seattle Times number 2.
That's so obvious.
Fucking
We
dork.
should have said, "Oh, what a fucking loser."
Puget Sound Business Journal number 3. Bloomberg 4.
Ugh,
The Economist.
Not as
and
embarrassing as Politico.
The Economist and Brookings.
Oh, the
I almost
Ooh.
said Wall Street Journal, but he's actually a bigger dork than that.
Oh,
He's
the
Bloomberg and fucking The
Economist.
Economist.
Oh, that is
dude-
that's an extremely internationally pretentious dork is what this
Yeah.
evil dork.
Well, The
Oh,
Economist,
yeah.
I felt like was summed up by this article I read literally 5 years ago that was talking about the housing market in South Africa, and it was like things were a lot better for the housing market in the 1980s. It's like, oh fuck, dude.
To which
that's
any-
The Economist.
To
in
which a
nutshell
human
right
being
there.
might say, "Who cares? Go fuck yourself." Well, The Economist is. I mean, I remember The Economist was very popular among people poli-sci shitheads
Oh, yeah.
I knew in college because it was regarded as this very highbrow intellectual thing, and it is just and always has been a vicious right-wing imperialist rag that it has two subjects. It has two causes: imperialism and, appropriately, economics. And economics is one of the worst things that's ever happened to mankind. So it's awful publication.
If you read it willingly for any reason other than for research or to research how bad it is, you're an awful person.
Unless you're doing a study of how shitty The Economist is,
We're reading the Adam Curtis interview.
No, that's
It's
really
hilarious.
bad.
It's hilarious
because
well, all their interviews are awful because they're not human. If you work at The Economist,
yeah.
you're some sort of just
you are an ancient
void.
British ghoul.
Yeah.
No, you are
You're what's the overworld like? It's been
you're
so long.
You dwell in a basement under Oxford University. You're a
called a
1,000-year-old
sepulcher,
Briton.
Greg.
You literally knew Merlin, and then somehow Adam Curtis. Oh, it's like an idiot talking to a moron. Which is which? I don't know.
Okay, so here's the last of the good ones. Whose work style would you want to learn more about or emulate?
Oh God,
Please say
the
James
choices
Hetfield,
are?
Metallica.
So Steve Jobs.
Yeah, it's Steve Jobs, but he probably
this is
already
gonna be
worships Steve
corporations?
Jobs and knows him.
No, what is it? Okay, what are the what? Okay, go on.
No. It's gonna be fucking. Oh fuck. God damn it! Why am I totally blanking his name? The fucking South African guy keeps blowing up rockets. It's gonna be fucking him. Elon Musk. It's gonna be Elon Musk.
That's a bingo.
Yes! Yes!
I've been
God.
fortunate to have
No.
worked around some pretty amazing people during my career, but I'd like to learn more about Elon Musk's work style. He is such an iconic, multitasking, big thinker, and newly alleged pedophile.
Yeah. What he
Some of that might have not been in the article. I don't know.
all Elon Musk does now is shout things at people in a drug-fueled haze that they then go and spend his money on. Has he done it? It probably has been written about to death or something, but it's maybe just occurring to me now. Is Elon Musk the killer app we all have been waiting for? The actual replacement for Steve Jobs?
Yeah, he might be. He might be.
And that he's
the icon that everyone in every shithead wants to be.
Well, he's-
in
Oh
tech
yeah,
and
yeah.
business.
Shithead dudes
Yeah.
are into him, and he's also unlike Bill Gates and Paul Allen, who are just terminally fucking boring. And I think also probably Jeff Bezos is terminally boring. Elon Musk and Steve Jobs are legitimate fucking lunatics. Straight up fucking psychotic.
You got to over those. Over someone one of the dullest, most boring thinkers to ever live, Jeff Bezos. Yeah, you got to give it to Jobs and Musk, and maybe even Musk especially, to actually at least have an fucking imagination, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's likened himself to Tony Stark. I know. So.
A child's comic book character.
Exactly.
Because he is actually like a child, which that's what it's like.
Yeah.
He's like a Peter Pan like case, you know.
Well, when those people didn't want to use
and
the
that's not cool. I'm
submarine
not
to
saying
rescue
that's
those
cool.
kids,
It's high, yeah.
Yeah, he literally just called the divers who rescued the kids pedophiles because he's a fucking freak. Like, I mean, absolute fucking nut.
And it just came out today. He's implicated now in the Epstein mess.
I mean, that was only a matter of time. How's what's her face saying? His goth girlfriend.
Oh, Grimes?
Yeah, how's Grimes taking it?
I don't know. Haven't heard about her recently.
That's the thing. Elon Musk has a good partner, too, for his, like, weird capers. Like, Grimes is... you couldn't write it. It's too good.
It is pretty good.
All right.
Well, we've learned a lot today about business, about work, about the market, about growth, and the opposite of growth.
I think we learned a little bit about the city.
Yes,
City we love.
Capital T and capital C. And we've been going a long time, so I think we had one patron to thank.
Yeah.
One new patron, and I don't totally know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's Tsunami or Tsunami. It's an XU, so...
Well, tsunami is a word.
I know.
Look, we're sorry.
Yeah.
I'll do Colin's part.
Oh, thank
today.
you.
We're sorry, guys. I don't know.
I'm sorry is the bottom line, but we appreciate you. Thank you. If you want to be cool like them, you should check us out on Patreon. As we've said in previous episodes recently, there are just vaults and vaults and vaults of hours and hours and hours of content. All kinds of weird J.K. Rowling-esque goblin creatures are shuttling tapes and tapes and tapes of our podcast around the subterranean vaults. And you'll have access to that if you give us $5 a month.
Hell yeah. Thank you, person whose handle we can't pronounce.
Yep.
Well, or I can't pronounce. I don't know.
Well, no, me and Greg can do it perfectly. We're just sitting here quietly staring
they're
at
just,
Colin.
Yeah,
as
they're
he
just
sweats.
judging me.
The sweat's just coming down his forehead in buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that happens. I mean, all you have to do to make that happen is look
it's
at
just
me.
look at me.
All right, well, should we call it a night?
I think that's it. So thank you for listening, and we will catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.